Yeah, folks, welcome back to the final Cataclysm Class Set card review. Today it is Mage, and we've got just a few cards because we already saw a bunch of the Mage stuff on day one. You may remember the Arcanomicon, this big legendary 7-cost spell that introduces this idea of Leylines, identifying these as a bit of a kind of card subtype, a cycle like Librams of sorts, where we're going to have the 3 Leylines. This one, a big board builder. This one, medium-sized board remover with some rollover face damage. And this one, a little bit of card draw and discount for cheap. Each of which, as you saw, can be upgraded via the Arcanomicon here. So this both gives you those in hand and either increases their effects by 2, discounts them by 2, or makes them go off an extra time. Now, when we talked about these on day one, I kind of liked these basically in decreasing order from cost. In other words, this was my least favorite. This one was okay. This one, I think, is pretty good. Just such a cheap card. In regards to the upgrades, I think probably triggering an additional time is best. By a large margin, but there might be instances where discounts matter more because you need to play one immediately or something, because the Arcanomicon is a very expensive spell. This upgrade to cost ratio is crazy high. Getting the Leylines is definitely a lot of value, but at the same time, like, man, the 7-mana overhead on this is just like crazy punishing. The good news is this is not going to be the only way to upgrade your Leylines. That's what the entire rest of this video is going to be about, in fact, with cards like this one, the Mystic Rune Saber. This is a 2-mana, 2/3 beast with Elusive and Battlecry. Increase the effects of your Leylines this game by 1. So basically, this is just like the upgrade on the Arcanomicon. That one does increase it by 2. But what that means is any of the number on the card in the card text box here is going to go up. So now if you play that Mystic Rune Saber, Leyline Nexus is going to say it costs 2 less. Bursting Leyline is going to deal 5 damage, and Crystalline Leyline is going to summon a random 7-cost minion, which that's nice, man. At only 2, like weaving this in early is awesome. It's like a pretty solid body, honestly, too. Elusive's kind of annoying sometimes. So, you just get this in, a little speed bump as we call them. Keep up on tempo a bit, slow down your opponent a little bit while still advancing your primary game plan. I think, honestly, even Bursting Leyline like starts to look a lot better as a deal 5 at, naturally on curve point of the game, making sure, it's got that room to kill whatever big thing your opponent might have played. A 5 health minion on turn 4 is not that crazy. So getting a Mystic Rune Saber down is awesome. And, you don't have to spend 7 to start upgrading your Leylines. That's the big deal. Is like, man, okay, I'd much rather play 2 of these than have to spend 7 on the Arcanomicon. Of course, yes, it has some value upside as well, but it's like still just so prohibitively expensive to get that all moving. This is like, yes, getting it down early, that's perfect. And Mystic Rune Saber, of course, just the first step of the puzzle. We also have, for turn 3, as an immediate follow-up, the Ley Walker. This is a 3-mana 4/2 Battlecry. Your Leylines cost 1 less this game. So again, just duplicating one of those upgrades from the Arcanomicon, but doing so in a much cheaper way. On top of that, this is also getting you a random Leyline. So this is really just like a mini Arcanomicon, with a forced choice, sure, and a random result, but way cheaper and on a body, right? And I like this so much more. So if you play these 2 cards on curve, I think your Leylines are already looking like pretty great cards, right? If you run through these, even if you just tick up the number by 1 and the cost down by 1, suddenly your Leyline Nexus is a 1-mana card that draws a card that costs 2 less. You're already going net mana positive, basically, on your Leyline Nexus. This is a 3-mana spell that deals 5. Much more efficient damage to cost ratio. That feels way better. This is now a 5-cost card that summons you random 7-cost minion, right? Like, already, okay, it's still not great. Like, this one's still, I don't really want to pay 5 for random 7, but we're not done. And you can see, like, with just 2 hits, I think these all actually become reasonable enough cards, or maybe even good cards in the case of the card draw. So then imagine if I'm playing 2 Mystic Rune Sabers, 2 Ley Walkers, it's like, okay, I actually kind of like these cards now. I mean, I will say, like, you know, the 4-2 stat line here probably isn't aligned with the direction I expect this deck to take. I don't think this is going to be like an aggressive deck necessarily. Maybe mid-rangey at best, like some of the imbue packages where you're just sort of playing those average imbue minions down early. Although I think that 4/4 Divine Shield guy is actually pretty good. But you know, I would rather actually this just have a little bit of health to work with to kind of take trades from the opponent and everything, because I'm probably planning to play this a little bit more defensively, giving time for all these buffs to hit, giving time for the Leylines to get big enough to really be the impactful cards that I want. Plus the next card we see is going to be even lower tempo, the 4-cost teaser card of this package. So I do kind of wish this was like a 2/4 or a 3/3 even, just like shift those stats around a little bit less aggressively in my mind. Yes, a 4/2 can sort of trade up into a 4/4 or whatever, but also super easily cleaned up by any small removal or small minion trades. So, you know, it does have a death rattle, so you kind of want it to die, but also you might not be looking to play the Leylines right away after the Leywalker. Maybe it's fine to weave one in on turn 4 or something. You might just be saving those up for later, and in the meantime wish you had a better body down. That said, you know, the discount being on a battle cry is really nice, makes that feel rewarding immediately, and you know, kind of the death rattle upside's fine too. So ultimately I think still good. Like, I think it's still a really cheap way to make a core package of your deck notably better, and a cost discount is more significant even than increasing the effect. Like, cost discounts are crazy important to make these feel playable. So not that I think Leywalker's bad at all. I think you're gonna be really excited to find these and play these in any given game. Just wish the stat lines were a little more optimized is all. So then our final card here is the 4-cost Leyline upgrader, Surge Needle. This is a 3/3 with Battlecry. Your Leylines trigger an additional time this game, which I think this is the best result, the most powerful, and this one also, as you can see, goes 1-to-1 with the Arcanomicon again. Unlike the Mystic Rune Saber, that one's kind of half as effective. The Ley Lady is sort of half as effective as Unblock, but this Surge Needle is fully effective compared to Energize. It's a 1-to-1 copy of that upgrade. So that's like just really crazy powerful. And I think if you play all 3 of these on curve, your Leylines are actually really good cards already. Like, let's talk about what each of them is. Just playing each of these on curve. Now, you're not, of course, always going to hit these on curve, but even just hitting 1 or 2, especially if you get a Surge Needle, I think instantly makes each of these Leylines really crazy. Suddenly, it is a 1-mana spell that draws 2 cards that each cost 2 less. So that's a 3-mana net discount on the cards, and it's just 1 mana draw 2. Insane card, right? Bursting Leyline is a 3-mana deal 5 to 2 random enemy minions. So suddenly that becomes a way to really chip through a mid-sized board while also maybe dealing a few extra points of face damage. Even Crystalline Leyline starts to look kind of interesting when it's 5 mana summon 2 random 7-cost minions, right? Like, I'm like, okay, I'm not like over the moon about it necessarily, but maybe that's a fine turn 5 play after you've played all 3 of these in the meantime, right? Like, could definitely high roll a little bit, put the opponent on the back foot a bit. But you could also still save this one, and in the meantime play another Surge Needle, another Mystic Rune Saber, another Leywalker. Even if you don't play another Arcanomicon, you're getting to a point eventually where you can have, in essence, you know, 3 additional triggers thanks to 2 Surge Needles and an Arcanomicon. You could have 2 discounts, you could have 2 number increases, where at some point your Leyline Nexus is going to be 0 mana, draw 4 cards? Because you got 3 extra triggers, Arcanomicon, and 2 Surge Needles. They all cost 3 less. You're talking about like a Giga Skull of Gul'dan, right? You've got Bursting Leyline is 2 mana, deal 6 damage to random enemy minions 4 times. So, you know, opponent has 4 5/5s out, no problem. You're even getting some bonus face damage. If they have 4 1/1s out, they're practically dead off of a single 2 mana Bursting Leyline. Even Crystalline Leyline becomes like what? 4 mana summon 4 8-cost minions, right? I'm actually not mad about that finally, right? That's where it's honestly like, okay, that's worth it for 4 mana. Like, that's a crazy amount of stat dump. I'll still have mana left over to do other things, clear their board with Bursting Leyline, summon my own with Crystallized Leyline. It's like, man, okay, these are actually some ridiculous payoffs. Once you get these gears moving, these Leylines become really, really crazy powerful, I think. Unlike Hunter, and even really Paladin, I think there's enough here to actually make this the core of your deck. You know, you're talking about basically half of your deck being occupied by these cards. So I think there's enough consistency there where you're going to hit, you know, 2 or 3 upgrades to your Leylines at a point where they actually start to matter. And then eventually, you know, they do just become absolute powerhouses as you keep going. You've got enough card draw to help you find all of this stuff, thanks to the card draw Leyline and any other card draw that you want. You might just need a deck that kind of supports giving you a little bit of time to, you know, play stuff like a Surge Needle. You will need perhaps some windows, some swings, some defensive cards. But Mage has actually historically been pretty good at that. Things like Freeze and Armor Gain in Mage aren't that absurd. We've had some Grinder Mage style decks that I think could really create an opportunity here. So I actually do really like this package a lot. I will say 2 things. I do not think the Arcane Dragons, you know, the Fabled Dragon stuff, I don't really think you need this in there. Like, it feels like overkill, maybe, like just doubling down. Perhaps it's just 3 cards, right? But you got to run other dragons and stuff, and it's like they're really expensive, and I don't think you want to just, you know, be doing a 5-mana pass turn to like resurrect these later or whatever. That's going to be really tough, I think. I also think there's a chance that Arcanomicon just gets cut. I don't know if you need this. You already have Leylines in your deck by default. You can actually discover more off regular Discover cards. I don't know if you want to spend the 7 mana on this one just for 1 more upgrade. You know, it's kind of one of those like win more scenarios where you know, if you're able to like safely play the Arcanomicon, you might be in such a good spot anyway that, you know, did you really need it? Is there a better way to secure your win than Arcanomicon at that stage? I mean, maybe you just do because it's like, you know, it's just density of the effects. But I wouldn't be totally shocked if some lists are like, no, we can go without it. We just like the cheap enablers. This guy's kind of unnecessary, and we tend to win games before we really find a moment to play this anyway. So just something to keep in mind. But ultimately, I think I like this package the best of the ones that we've seen. I think, you know, it's getting to a point where it becomes really powerful cards. Do they hit too late in the game? Maybe. Do you not find these enough consistently early? Maybe. Definitely some risks for sure, but I'm going to go ahead and put a kind of a thumbs up on this one and say I think this actually does get there, because I think particularly Leyline Nexus becomes such a crazy powerful card when all of this starts working that it's going to be worth the trouble here. And like whatever other 15 cards you put in your deck, that's a bit of a mystery to me right now, but I think, you know, these could enable them in a really powerful way and just give you kind of a nice little win condition on its own too. So ultimately, I am sort of in on Mage. So that said, let's go ahead and rate these cards from 1 to 5 stars. The Arcanomicon is a 3-star card. Crystallized Leyline is a 3-star card. Bursting Leyline is a 4-star card. Leyline Nexus is a 4-star card. Mystic Runesaber is a 4-star card. Leywalker is a 4-star card. Surge Needle is a 4-star card. So yeah, there you go, folks. That's the Cataclysm Class Set card review done. What do you think? You like Mage? You like the other sets? Do you like class sets as much as mini sets? I just want to hear all those thoughts and more down below. That's a Marvel Snap card. Thanks always for watching, and I guess I will see you around. Oh, actually, no, that's not what I say for these videos. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for some of these cards being played in videos, and until next time, game on.